In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut and sew this stylish two-piece high-low top and short. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button. This dress is from Total Naija on Instagram. Now for this dress, the first thing you need to do is to get the length of your shirt. Now for the front length of my shirt is 19 inches and for the back is 26. So that makes it a total length of 45 inches. Now I'll be cutting the front and the back together because it's a cut together shirt. Now for the width of this shirt, I'm using my full Ankara, which is 45 inches divided by 2 will give me 22. Like this length now is 22 inches on fold, which is on fold. Now I'm cutting this blouse as a cut together dress. There's no joining at the shoulder. Now the first length, which is on fold, which is my shirt length for the front, is about 19 inches. This 19 inches is together with my folding allowance. The actual blouse length I'm using is 18 plus 1 inch, which is for folding, making it 19 inches, right? So after this, you now place and get the length of your back pattern. The length of the back pattern that I'm working with is 26 inches. And if you notice, I folded my pattern together. Like I folded my fabric into two first. Then I now folded a shorter length for my front and then folded a longer length for the back. Now for the neckline, I'll mark 3 inches and mark 1 because I'm cutting the front and the back together. So for the back neckline, I'm using 3 inches by 1 to cut it out, right? For the front neckline, I'm using 3 inches by 7.5, although I went ahead to extend it to 8 inches later. So from here, I'll come in by 2 inches. Now from these 2 inches, I'll connect it to these 3 inches on the neckline. Now I'm going to extend this all the way to the lower part of my pattern because I'll be cutting this out. The end of my pattern, I'll place and measure about 10 inches down, which will serve as my sleeve opening. Sorry, that side is not showing. So look at it at this point. I marked 10 inches for my sleeve opening at that side. Now I'll extend these 2 inches all the way down, just only on the part that is shorter. Remember, we are cutting this together. The longer part is the back, while the shorter part is the front. Now for the measurement of your dress, place your tape at the front of your pattern, mark your bust circumference divided by 4 and add additional 4 inches to it. Let's say you're just like when you're folding your dress, you're going to fold this dress with your bust circumference divided by 4, then add additional 4 to 5 inches. So I connected that all the way to the armhole. So sorry, when I was actually marking that part, my camera didn't get that part. So what I'll do is to cut out that extra 2 inches I cut out, and I'll also cut out the neckline of the dress. After cutting this out, I'm going to go ahead to take the measurement I have by the side of my pattern, and I'm going to extend it all the way to the lower part of my dress, which is your bust circumference divided by 4 plus extra 4 inches. Now this measurement is starting from the tip where you folded your fabric. Now I'll go ahead to cut this out, and after cutting it out, we'll go ahead to start joining our pattern. Now after I'm done cutting this, I'm going to open this up. Then I'll trace out the side of the sleeve that I have an excess on. Now the next step you need to take is to note where that your neckline stopped at the front. So I said I extended mine to 8 inches. I'll notch that 8 inches also. Now after that, I'll go ahead to measure from the neckline all the way down to what I have here. So what I have is roughly 22 inches and half. What I'll go ahead to cut out is 22 inches and half times 2, which will be giving me about 45 inches. But instead of cutting 45 inches, I went ahead to cut out about 47 inches. I added extra to it. Now what I have is 5 inches, and I'll place it on fold this way, right? And I'll go ahead to iron it out because we'll be joining up the center. So now, just like I said, I'm going to measure from the center of my neckline at the back, then measure it all the way to that 8 inches where we notched it, which is where the neckline of the front will stop. So what I have is roughly 12.5 inches, right? Now what I'll do is I'll get my pattern, which is on fold. Now I'm going to place it this way, and I'll open it up. Like, I'm going to open what I have, right? And I'm going to measure that 12.5 inches starting from the center of my pattern. That is this cutout that I have. So I'll mark that 12.5. Now what I will do is this 5 inches fabric that I cut out on fold, what I'll do is to find the midpoint, and I'll mark it all the way to the lower part of this dress. Now the midpoint of 5 inches is 2.5. Now I'll be marking 2.5 all the way from the upper part to the lower part of my pattern. After that, I'll run a stitch on that part of my dress and then iron it out this way. So I'm done sewing, and this is what I have, and I ironed it out. Now from the center of this collar, you're going to attach it to the center of your dress. Now I'll open up what I have here this way, and I'm going to attach it to the center. Please go ahead to notch the center of your back neckline. Now what I'll do is take this collar and I'll place it on it. Then I'll go ahead to place, and I'll start stitching with 1/2 inch. To make it easier for you, you can go ahead to pin it before going ahead to stitch. Now from that center, I'll stitch with 1/2 inch all the way down, and after stitching on that side, I'll stitch on this other side with 1/2 inch. Now I'm done stitching, and this is what I have. I'll cut out the excess I have on that point. Now the next step I'll take is to flip this to the other side, and I'll fold the sleeve length, and then after folding it, I will turn to the side and I'll stitch the side of the dress together. After stitching the side of the dress, we can now go ahead to move on to the next step of this dress. Now I've folded the sleeve and I've stitched the side with 1/2 inch. You can go ahead and stitch with 1 inch also. Now what I'll do is that remaining part at the lower part, I'll go ahead to fold it with 1/2 and 1/2 at the lower part, and then fold this part. So I also forgot to say that I also folded the hemline of the front part before going ahead to join it to the back pattern. So after I'm done joining, this is what I have. Now we are going to work on the sleeve of this dress. For the sleeve of this dress, I have 11 inches, and if I open it up, I have 15 inches. So what I'll do is go ahead to fold this with 1/2 inch and 1/2, then run a stitch round it and iron it out. Now this is what I have. I will go ahead to measure about 1 inch. You can use 2 inches. Sorry, you can use 1.5 to 2 inches from here. So I think I used 1.5 inches, later shifted it to 2 inches. So from here I'll mark at least up to like 4 inches. You can use from 4 to 5 inches, and I'll pin my pocket, measure the same thing at this side, and I'll go ahead to pin down my pocket. So what I'm going to do now is to run a stitch and tack the pocket on it here, and also tack the other side. Now after I was done sewing, this is the final look of this dress. If you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please kindly hit on the subscribe button. So I'm also going to drop a tutorial on how to make the shorts also. So if you have any question, go ahead to leave your question at the comment section. Also join us in our next video where I'll be making the short of this dress.